A very good morning. EURUSD has continued to push up higher into 115 in line with the overall bad CPI numbers that came out. So inflation, again, guys, came in lower than expected, pushing the dollar down lower in the expectation that lower inflation will result in lower interest rates. Lower interest rates will result in a weaker currency. As simple as that. And this is also what we highlighted in yesterday's video. Now, the major news updates for today. Number one, Trump says again, he'll set unilateral tariffs in 2 weeks. So this means that he's pretty much just going to, put those tariffs on countries on a global scale. This obviously has pushed EURUSD up higher and the dollar down lower. Furthermore, CPI came in worse than expected yesterday, resulting in a rate cut expectations that are bearish for currency, so bearish for the dollar. Today we have PPI, which is producer inflation, so keep your eyes open for that. It should drop at 2:30 Central Eastern Time on the New York Open. And last of all, we had pound news today, or this morning, with the GDP month-on-month growth in the UK coming in at minus 0.3% instead of the forecast at minus 0.1%, pushing the pound down lower as of this morning. Now, looking here at EURUSD, we can obviously see that we're at a key level of resistance, which is that 1.15 level, which has the potential to push EURUSD down lower again. However, if we clean up this chart a bit, we can very clearly see that the overall immediate order flow on EURUSD has been bullish and that the daily fractal structure continues to push EURUSD into new highs. Now, overall, I wasn't the biggest fan of following this daily order flow up higher, but I must say it has been respected pretty well. Now, until this daily fractal low, which is the current fractal low here, remains respected, I do assume that EURUSD is ready to continue pushing up higher and higher. There's nothing really slowing EURUSD down at the moment. Also, from a fundamental perspective, it seems that the European Central Bank wants to stop cutting interest rates due to the inflation being met, or the inflation targets being met. So this is hawkish for the euro overall, and it seems like EURUSD can hold on to its overall momentum and the overall order flow that it has had for the last 2 or 3 fractal breaks. So overall, looking for continuation into around 1.15759 here on euro, unless we break the current fractal low. If we break the current fractal low, that is the moment that I'll be interested in looking for shorts again on euro USD. So that's pretty much what I have here for the euro. Overall, obviously, we are inside an area of supply here on the 4-hour time frame, which could push the market down lower. This is your buy before the sell down, breaking market structure. And obviously the last time that we were there, we also pushed in towards the downside. So again, looking at the fact that we're now inside of the supply zone, there is potential for EURUSD to definitely make a retracement. Looking here at the 1 hour, we have this morning seen a fractal break in towards the downside. So what we had here was a kind of like liquidity sweep. And now what we want to see is obviously a bearish candle close. Then we want to see a supply zone be created over here, or the supply zone will be created, and then you could look for a short-term short in towards the downside to, for example, take out these lows and retrace to, for example, this area of demand over here, from where again we'll look for the market to slow down before looking for any new longs, or just waiting for the market to continue its trend, break the daily fractal low, and then we can look for shorts again. But this will be very dependent on the PPI numbers that come out today. Again, big news week for at least the end of this week, with a lot of inflation numbers coming out. So it's all going to depend on what inflation does, on what PPI does. If PPI again comes in higher than expected, that should push EURUSD down lower. If PPI comes in lower than expected, like CPI did yesterday, that will just push EURUSD up higher without even having to make a retracement in towards those lower levels. So keep that in mind, that we could then just keep on pushing up higher from this, take out these equal lows if those numbers come in worse than expected. So keep an eye on that for EURUSD. Going into the dollar, we can see here that the dollar yesterday pushed down lower once again. Overall, I was a fan of looking for some potential more upside. However, if we look here at the daily time frame, we can pretty much see that we've just stayed within that range overall yesterday, right? So this area of resistance never really got broken. Even I have been looking at this overall swing high that we had over here. Not sure if we actually even took that out. I don't think we did, because the high here was 99390 and the high here was 99392. So that means that we never saw a daily fractal break, a bullish daily fractal break. Remember, that was kind of like my or my requirement to see the dollar push up higher again, but we respected that daily fractal high here, and from there we continued pushing down lower. So this is now the daily current fractal high. If that were to break in the near future, that would be for me a sign that we can look for longs again, but until that remains respected, the overall order flow remains bearish in towards the downside. Obviously, I am still looking for a potential reversal up higher, but it will all depend on where those inflation numbers come in at today. So keep an eye on that, and keep an eye on this area of supply, which is now pretty much your critical area of supply. As long as that is respected, that will continue to push the market down lower. If we break that, then I assume we'll also be able to break that daily fractal high, and then from there continue pushing up in towards the highs. Looking at this from like a weekly perspective, I mean, it's kind of like the last chance to push up higher for the dollar. From here, if it does break this current fractal low, I do see it heading down even lower, for the dollar. And then we'll definitely kind of like re-imitate the overall price action that we saw back here in 2017-18, where as well we got kind of like a bounce after coming underneath the accumulation range, and then we created a new lower low, and then from there the real reversal started. So keep in mind that could happen over here as well, where for example here we see the little bounce after the accumulation range, and then we just head down lower again, and then for example take out, let's say, these equal lows over here, tap into a demand zone, and then from there start reversing up higher once again. But yeah, keep that in mind. Again, today's push will be influenced by PPI. Looking at AUD/USD, we can see that AU itself has continued to push down lower. Sadly, it just missed out on my liquidity high, which for me was requirement to look for a potential short on this pair. Overall, we can see again very choppy price action. Not a pair that I'm trading at the moment. A lot of equal lows here. That's what it's currently taking out. For myself, the valid short will only come once we take out that daily liquidity high, which is positioned over here. So I'm just waiting for that high to get taken out, and then I'll be looking for shorts. Yes, we've now seen the first daily fractal structure break in towards the downside in a very long time, since around April, which was over here. So yes, it could mean that price is now ready to push down lower. But again, for myself, this was really the high that I was looking at. But overall, let's say we get a double fractal break on the daily. So we get a push down, retracement, and then another break. That for me will be kind of like the confirmation that we're ready to take out these lows. So then I would be happy to also get involved with those potential shorts. Going into GBPUSD GU, I was in a short myself. Looking here at the daily time frame, yesterday everything was looking really good. Again, if I just clean up my chart real quick for you guys, and I'll turn off the overall fractal indicator, which is going to be dropping next week, guys, so stay tuned for that. This was pretty much the area of supply that I was looking at, with the high of that bullish candle being my fractal high. However, we've now broken that fractal high, which is not really preferable. But again, sometimes the market is imperfect, so it could also just be kind of like a sweep of liquidity to fuel the next move down. This morning, GDP, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, came in worse than expected for the pound. That's why the pound is moving a lot, kind of like GBPUSD is moving a lot stronger and faster than EURUSD is doing. But overall, looking here at GU, I would still love to see some more downside and for it to eventually take out these lows, but it will be dependent on PPI this afternoon. So if PPI comes in as expected or higher than expected, then look at GU to really start selling off back down into 1.34. But if that's not the case, then obviously we could fly again. But overall, what I'm looking at here is a range, and we're now at the premium of the range. And that is now what's pushing the market down lower. So I wouldn't want to get into buys here on GU at all. I would definitely want to wait for these lows, at least the lows to get taken out before looking for any longs myself on this. Until then, I'm mainly just focused on shorts. I still see potential for further downside on GU overall as well, because I do see it as an overextended pair, of which I would love to see some further downside, as it is also inside monthly supply still over here, with these two imbalanced candles pushing the market down lower. Daily time frame really squeezing in towards the highs. Momentum is really kind of like starting to die down on the pound, and we're also getting a lot of bad fundamentals on the pound, mainly in relation to labor force. So I'll be looking for some GBPUSD sells, but we just need the dollar to really kind of like behave itself for once. But yeah, looking at how we react on GBPUSD once we get to these lows, if there we start seeing some manipulation again, that is the moment that you could potentially look for some longs again. But until then, I'm not looking for longs. Then if we dive into NZDUSD, we can see that NU is also pushing down lower. For myself, not the most interesting pair, I would say. I think that with the daily fractal still being bullish, there is still potential for it to push up higher. Yes, we kind of grab liquidity above this high over here. But for me, this high is really kind of like the beginning of, let's say, all of those descending highs. So for myself, the high probability short will happen from there. Until then, like NZDUSD is still bullish. The dollar is still bearish, so it doesn't really make any sense for me yet to short NZDUSD, especially also with the daily fractal being bullish. So I would really be only looking for shorts if we break the current fractal low, and then you can start taking out all of these ascending lows over here. So yeah, I agree. We have like a lot of trendline liquidity here, which I would be looking to short once we really start seeing the momentum, and then I really think that we could see a deeper correction. So that's that. Then going into dollar yen, dollar Swiss, and gold. Dollar yen sold off again yesterday. For dollar yen, I am doing some fundamental updates soon for you guys inside the Discord. Overall, I'm now focusing on this supply zone to potentially see this push down lower again. Some equal lows here, and as well ascending corrective price action. So I'm looking to see if this will now push the market down lower. I'm also looking into a more short bias on dollar yen for now. Also, if we look at the weekly is fractal bearish. We tapped into that weekly supply zone. Daily time frame is fractal bearish, not the most beautiful fractal structure, to be very honest, but here we swept the liquidity. The fractal is now bearish, but I'm more just looking at the 4 hour for now. So let's see how we react to this, and then if in the 1 hour we get some manipulation inside of there, I'll be looking for those shorts. Dollar Swiss still favoring longs, man. It's just manipulating. This thing has now come underneath, has it? No, still hasn't come underneath this low over here, which I would really have preferred to have seen. But regardless, I'll be looking for a bounce up higher on this. It's just very, very slow at the moment. And then last of all, we have gold. So gold itself is again moving very manipulative. But as you guys know, we are pretty much only looking for longs on gold. It's not very smart or bright to be selling gold due to the overall nature of price that we're seeing. Obviously, we have the impulsive phase. Then we have the corrective phase. And now we are again in the impulsive phase, so we're looking for those longs. At the moment, the daily time frame is inside of a supply zone, so fractal supply over here. And on the 4 hour time frame, you've pretty much come above this, let's say, liquidity high. There's no liquidity in the push down. So what happens? You liquidate the little bump in the road, which is over here. And we have a lot of ascending lows here. So I would favor those lows to get taken out before looking for any longs myself. So that's kind of like what I'm looking for on gold. Yesterday, there was some potential to sell off, but again, you never really want to be trading the news, because taking a sell yesterday is kind of like a little bit like a beginner trader does, in the sense that you're just trading right after news. We have all of the lows here. Which are obviously very nice to target as ascending liquidity, so ascending low liquidity. And here you have a very nice kind of like liquidation wick. So in your mind, it might make sense to short from this, but again, it's fundamentally driven everything. So now we're seeing some sell-off here on gold after liquidating this high. This was the real liquidity high. However, there's just not really any clean price action, especially if you get this kind of candle. So wait for it to kind of like develop. Give it some time, and then maybe look for a short to take out all of those ascending lows. And then once those ascending lows are taken out, then I'll be looking for longs once again on gold. So that's it, what I have for gold for now, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to join Discord. The link is in the description of this video. I'll be dropping a lot of fundamental updates there, working on a lot of cool things. Also, my Twitter follower list that I want you guys to be following, so you're up to date on all of the latest news. This evening, guys, at 9 p.m, there is going to be a webinar, so make sure to tune in. Link will be in the comment section and the description of this video, and I hope to see you there. Thanks.